No problem, man. What's going on with you guys?
And happy anniversary to you and Shan. We extend our happiest congratulations. I know you guys didn't get to do a lot with the kids last night, but I know you've got some plans for celebrating. So we're happy to kick off your anniversary celebration by doing our show.
I guess so, huh?
Tramon, we reached out to you yesterday because there was a couple of stories floating around the internet, and I'm not sure how this happened. Just to give folks a little bit of the backstory, I teased Tramon the last day of the minicamp because all of us had wanted to talk to him, and for whatever reason, the times that we were in the locker room, he had not been during OTAs in the minicamp, and so he stood in the locker room, and Tramon, I don't know, it must, a half hour at least you stood and talked to all of us?
Yeah, it was a while.
And he filled us in on where everything stands with his shoulder, and I think most of us took it as that your shoulder isn't what it was before the injury. It's a lot better than it was during the course of last season after the injury, and that you feel like you'll be back to being yourself, right?
Exactly.
So somehow yesterday in the world of the internet, it became Tramon Williams' career is in jeopardy, and he's never going to be the same player again. So let me stop talking and let you kind of just explain where things are at, what you're dealing with the shoulder, how you're feeling, and what your expectations are now for 2012.
Okay, first of all, the shoulder's doing fine. Still rehabbing it at this point. Everything's looking good. Structurally, the shoulder is doing well. It's more of a nerve thing at this point, and a nerve slowly, but it's coming slowly also. I'm going to use the example that I use in a locker room. During the season, I couldn't lift a 30, 35-pound dumbbell. Now I'm up to a 90-pound dumbbell. I'm not a doctor, but, I mean, that's progress.
Now, all right. So so we could play doctors on the radio for a minute. What happened was when Nick hit you, what did it do to your shoulder?
First of all, it was a rare hit. It was a rare injury. The doctors say most guys never get hit in that spot, and it was one of those things to where it'll probably never happen again. I was hit on a supraspinatus nerve, and it kind of shut down my shoulder at that point. So basically, I was almost playing with one arm.
And now you didn't play the following week at Carolina. This happened in the opener against the Saints in Lambeau, and then Tramon misses the next game at Carolina. Now that was the first time you'd ever missed practice or a game going back to what? Pee Wee football?
Pee Wee football, had never missed anything.
So you sit out, and then the following week you're back out there. And I talked to Joe Witt, the cornerbacks coach, and he told me that if we told the truth, you probably shouldn't have played last year. Is that? I mean, do you view it that way?
I mean, if we want to be on the safer side, of course. This is football, though. It's a game of progress. If you able to play, I think anybody would have went out there and played. It's really no excuses out there, you know. I'm not here for pity or any of that. I went out there and done the best that I can with the situation that I had. And as a coaching staff and me, we talked about it and felt that it was the best option. I mean, for me to play. I was there. I wanted to play for my teammates. And at the end of the day, they respect me for it. So, and that's what it's about. You want to go out to battle with those guys, whether you're 100% or not. If you're able to go, you go. If you don't, then it is what it is.
Now, what did you go ahead, Zach.
I was just going to say, how frustrating is it not to be able to play at 100%, and you get all those people talking about you, and you're not you've fallen off from where you were in 2010. How frustrating is that?
I mean, it's frustrating, but we can go back to 2010. I mean, that was a heck of a season. to repeat that is kind of hard, but I feel that consistently I can do that. You know, I've dropped off in my play last year, but at the same time, I felt that with my situation, I was still productive. So, as for this frustration, yeah, it was frustrating, but I was encouraged at the same time.
Now, we'll look ahead in a second here, but Tramon, when we watched you last year, you did make progress throughout the season. I mean, you shut down Calvin Johnson late in the year. Did you start to feel better, or did you start to just figure out how you could play with the limitations your shoulder was causing you? Because I know you said in the locker room that you couldn't play press man-to-man because it was so easy for receivers to knock that right arm off of them.
Right. And I think it was a mixture of me starting to feel better. Confidence was going up because I started to feel better, and Dom understanding my situation and also putting me in a good situation. I think it was, all of the above. Everyone helped out at that point, and I think it was just one of those games that flashes to what I can do. And obviously I wasn't able to do it on a consistent basis all year, but, I know what I can do and plan on doing it.
Tramon, when you look at the defense as a whole last season, you're dealing with the injuries that you're dealing with. You lose Nick Collins the week that you are out in Carolina. A lot of people talked about not having Cullen on the roster anymore and how that may have affected the pass rush. How do you rank your defense from last season after seeing it in the top 5 the previous 2 years? I mean, if truths be told, it just wasn't very good, was it?
I mean, it wasn't very good, but, you got to look at some of the situations we went through. First of all, we had an offense that was, out of this world. So, obviously, we had to play the pass the whole time. So, I think the stats was more deceiving than anything. We didn't play well as a defense, but I don't think it was bad as what people see as far as statistically. But after OTAs, guys came in with a focus, and I think at this point that we're better than what we were last year.
How motivational was the way last year went for you guys? And then how much do you think the infusion of talent from these young guys, I know they're unproven and they haven't even put the pads on yet, but have they kind of jumped out at you and gotten your attention?
They really did. They really did. All the guys who came in, they done an excellent job in OTAs, showed a lot of ability. Obviously, Nick Perry, first round, is pretty much a physical specimen at 270 pounds, running the 4.5. And Jarrell Rurde, he brought so much energy out there with us, a lot of competitiveness, and looks apart. He looks all he's hyped up to be. And we also got other guys, too. Casey stepped in and doing a wonderful job picking up the defense and playing well. So I think we done an excellent job in the draft. We got some free agents who I think you guys are going to be looking out for. Desmond Moses, one name that's been brought out there a lot. So I think we made a lot of progress here in this draft.
When Zach wrote a story about Desmond Moses, and you were one of several guys that talked about him and were excited about him. As you watch him, though, do you have to temper your enthusiasm because you guys aren't in pads, or can you see, even in shorts and helmets, which guys are going to be players for you?
You can see in shorts and helmet what guys can do. But at the same time, you always hold back a little bit just because you still have to see him in pads. I think he's going to do the same thing when we get in pads. But, you still have to have that confidence that you can go out there and do the same thing as pads, because it's not going to be easy as it was without pads on.
You and I have joked in the past about how the Tramon Williams story needs to be a movie down the road. Do you ever get any chance? I mean, I know now you guys are busy with the kids, and your off season is still busy. Do you ever get a chance to think about how far you've come, though?
You know what? I'm one who don't really tell my story much, but when I get around pretty much everybody else, they like to tell my story, and they like me to tell my story. So I don't really think much of it, but it's good motivation for kids coming up, and I don't mind doing it.
All right,
I like to tell my story.
So now people who, I mean, I think most of our listeners are loyal readers of our stuff, so they know some of it. But to me, my favorite part, and there's a bunch of parts that, my two favorites are what you went through trying to get a job in this league every Tuesday, and what it was like going to that first Louisiana Tech football game that you weren't on the sideline for, you were in the stands. Can you tell folks those two stories? Because I love those stories.
Okay. First of all, everyone knows I walked on in college. First year, didn't want to go to any football games, but I got the urge to go out there and watch a football game. It was against Boise State, and they was playing for the WAC title, so I went out there and watched the game. It was a shootout, and I said to myself at that point, I was like, man, these guys are going back and forth. There's no defense being played. I can go out there and do that. So after that game, I went out and talked to the coaches, and they told me to come out. I had to get my clearinghouse papers and all that through. And I came out for spring practice, and the first day I jumped out at coaches. It was like, who is this guy? I just showed that much ability for guys not to really know about me. And I was doing we was in workouts in the weight room, and the head coach walked through, and we were doing testing. So I was at the vertical jump, and I recalled I jumped a 42.5, and the head coach stopped in his tracks. He didn't know he didn't know who I was at that point in time, but he stopped in his tracks and introduced himself to me at that point. And
I bet he did.
He told me he was excited to see what I can do out there on the field, and I guess at that point I didn't disappoint.
And then how did you? All right, so you enter the league as an undrafted guy, and you still have your apartment at Louisiana Tech, and like every week you're traveling for a tryout, right?
Right, exactly. It was as soon as I got released from Houston. Every Tuesday I was working out for somebody. Green Bay was the first team who called me up to give me a workout. It was the first week of the season. I worked out for Green Bay, had a good workout. They told me that I would make a guy up when they decided to make a move. That's exactly what happened. But every week I went to a team all the way up until I got to Green Bay. And you find yourself every week, the team that you work out for, you're watching them on Sundays, hoping that they win, that you're going to be a part of that team. But, well, it's the next team I go on to. So I spent that for maybe like 8 or 9 weeks. And Green Bay finally called me up. I think it was week 12. And wanted to sign me to the practice squad, and had other workouts lined up for it. So it was a lot going on, but it was fun. It was a fun process because I was talking to other guys who were free agents. I was still happy at that point. I never got frustrated at all. The guys who we got released together, and it was like, man, I'm not getting any workout. I was like, man, I'm getting them every week. So I was encouraged, and I kept my head high.
Well, you have certainly proven that it is an inexact science trying to figure out who will be an NFL player and who will be a really good NFL player. And so I'm glad that those stories ended in you ending up in Green Bay, and I'm sure Packers fans would agree with that. We'll let you get back to your anniversary celebration. I always like to tease Tramon too that between you and your wife, who was a very, very good Division I basketball player, I don't know of anyone who will have more athletic kids than you guys do. So I hope that they don't end up. I hope they end up on the same teams as my girls, because at least I know our teams will be good.
I hope that their athleticism don't skip a generation. That's what I hope.
Well, yeah, I like their chances as opposed to me, who just has to count on Paula delivering all the athleticism to them. So, thanks for making time for us, and we will see you at training camp, Tramon.
All right, Jason, I appreciate it.